Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Mtg Steam Brewery. At the end of the video, I will have an announcement, so if you don't want to bother watching the deck test, go and skip to the end, but if you do, then please enjoy it as I go right into it. This is our Naya Aggressive Midrange deck, and we start off with 3 Mistcutter Hydras. Kind of our top end. It's a very nice mana sink, which we have plenty of in the deck to sink our mana into as the game goes late, because we really need to be able to use our mana every turn as an aggressive deck. And this, you can play it early game if you absolutely have to, but it's also really good late game. Like 5+ mana, you drop this guy, he's going to be really good against pretty much every deck in the format. Haste and Counterable Pro Blues, all very relevant. Also 4 Gold Claim Rampagers. The Blood Rush is pretty much relevant against everything but control, and then he's a 4/4 trample for 4 in most situations against the control deck. Sometimes if they're tapped out on turn 4 for like a Jace. You've gotten some damage, you can go Blood Rush, Gore Claim Rampager, double strike with a Boros Charm, kill you. It won't happen often, but it can. Still, very efficient creature, one of the best creatures for this deck, especially at the 4-drop slot. So we definitely wanted 4 of him in this deck. 4 Boon Satyr is the other option for this slot was Lockstone Smiter. Lockstone Smiter is better when the aggressive decks are big, but in my meta, the Monsters decks are getting more popular, and the mono black deck's getting more popular, and the black white, basically mono black Devotion minus Grey Merchants, is also getting really popular. So being able to play things at their end step like Boon Satyr was very relevant over Lockstone Smiter, which is at sorcery speed. And though it can't be countered, which is relevant against blue white decks, this is also even more relevant because we're just going to play it at their end step. So it basically is haste, which is even better. It also has Bestow, which can be very relevant against a lot of decks too. We have 3 Fleeceman Lions, because I wasn't able to get a 4th one in time. So definitely, probably one of the better 2-drops in Standard. It's 2 mana 3/3, gains HP for Indestructible. Perfect example of power creep. If you Watch Wolf from Old Ravnica, this is a Watch Wolf but better. So we definitely wanted access to this card. So we're playing 3 of it. It's a very powerful 2-drop, being able to gain Hexproof and Indestructible. 1 Scavenging Ooze. Maybe you should play another one if like Mono Black and Drone Monsters are the biggest things in your meta. I'm more worried about Green Red Monsters and the Green White aggressive decks, so though I do want Scavenging Oozes in those matchups, I definitely wanted more threats than just a Scavenging Ooze. So I'm currently only playing 1. Maybe I should add another, but I'm not really sure. We'll see as time goes on. Maybe end up adding another, but you guys may never see that. So for now, just 1 Ooze. 4 Experiment ones. Still probably the best 1-drop in Standard. Thoughtseize might be better, but Experiment 1's a dude. Better in more matchups than Thoughtseize. So I really like Experiment 1. Being able to regenerate by removing 2 counters, he easily gets to a 3/3 on turn 3 with this deck. Just being like him, 2-drop, land tapped, or untapped land, another 2-drop, is not very uncommon. So he'll be able to survive Supreme Verdicts more often than not. Plus, he also gets a lot bigger than the aggressive decks can handle, which are probably one of our best matchups, because we just like Experiment 1, Ooze, Fleeceman Lion, Gore Clan Rampager, Mistcutter Hydra, Advent the Worm. All these things are really good against them. We also have 2 Hammer Furfros. Just one of our other mana sinks in the deck, like Fleeceman Lion and Boon Satyr or Mistcutter Hydra, as all of those were already shown. Being able to sink all of our lands past land 5 into making them creatures is going to be very relevant, especially if the game goes late, which it can with this deck. Especially when we stumble early with like our temples or just not playing things early, this will allow us to have a much better late game. So that's why that's in there as a 2 of. We have 1 Call of the Conclave as a replacement for Fleeceman Lion until I can get a 4th one. The fact that it makes tokens not irrelevant with 1 card in our sideboard, and it's still just a 2 mana 3/3, which is going to be very good for its rate, and almost what Fleeceman Lion does in most of the matchups. So definitely wanted a 4th 2 mana 3/3. Maybe you should have a playset of both, but it just depends on how aggressive you want to be. I want to be a little more mid-rangey, so I have a better late game plan. So that's why I have 4 2 mana 3/3s. 3 Advent of the Worm. Also really good in every matchup in Standard. 5/5 Trample for Flash. It's very good against the Monsters deck. It's going to be able to keep up with most of their things. Attack into it and kill it, or not die to whatever they have most times, if they don't just like have a removal spell. It's against the blue-white, flashing in on a turn, always going to be good. It demands an answer. Especially, like, it can get a Supreme Verse on its own. It's just like tack 5, and they don't have, like, Azorius Charm, and they're the blue-white control deck. Aggro, these are the 5/5 trample. They're normally able to get to him without, like, a lightning strike or something. So he's really good in all the matchups, so that's why there's 3 of those. We have 2 Warlords Helix, mainly because this is a personal favorite of mine. I don't know if it's actually good in this deck. I just really wanted it. Every time I've drawn it, it's been really good. It acts as, 4 damage for 4 mana is a lot of reach. It may be better just to have, like, another Advent of the Worm than, like, another Ooze, but I'm currently just playing these because they're a personal favorite of mine. They may not be better, so those could easily come out if you choose to play this deck. There's also 4 Lightning Strikes, just, some more Burn Spell also acts as removal. Our removal acting as reach is very important for me because I want to be able to close games out quickly. These allow us to do that while they're not dead against control. 2 Boros Charms. All of the modes are relevant in this deck. Giving Double Strike can be very relevant with like Gore Clan Rampagers or Advent of the Worms, or Blood Rushing Gore Clan Rampager and giving Double Strike, like I said, can win a lot of games. 4 damage is going to be irrelevant against a lot of decks because it's also, once again, it allows us to close the game out quickly. And then the Indestructible is going to be relevant against control decks. Say they try to kill your guys or they cast a Supreme Verdict, this is going to basically counter their spell if they don't have a counter spell for your Boros Charm. And then we have 4 Selesnya Charm. To me, one of the best green-white cards you could play at the 2-drop slot in Standard right now, with monsters being so popular. It's also good against mono-black. It exiles Desecration Demons, Ereboses. So not terrible against black-white because it does exile Obsidots also, and it's never really dead because you can just make it 2/2 against control against. And there will be several situations where giving +2/+2 and trample is going to be relevant. So I just really wanted 4 of these cards. It was kind of it and Gore Clan Rampager were the tipping points for me wanting to build this deck. Again, I built it right after rotation. There was that Pro Tour Born of the Gods, or not, Pro Tour Dragon's Maze. At the block constructed, there was basically this deck. Just, of course, it was block constructed, so it didn't have the new cards. With Naya, much more aggressive Naya Aggro list, but it was the very same strategy of this deck. And of course, we have our lands. Nothing too special. We only have 6 temples because we need our basics and shock lands coming in tap so we can cast our spells on time. And I'll see you in a minute for the sideboard. Alright, welcome back for the sideboard. We're to start off with 1 Chandra the Pyromaster. For the control of mono-black matchups, just, grinding out the card advantage is going to be very relevant because the game will go late against those decks more often than not. So we need a way to keep up, and card advantage is one of those. Her ultimate at some point may be relevant if we just want to be tapping out for cards in our hand, because we do play Warriors Helix, Lightning Strike, and Boros Charm. But more often than not, we're just going to be using her to make card advantage. The Falter could also be useful. Being able to deal damage, make something not block, that could very easily come into matter. If we're like have lethal on the board, we don't really want to do anything, we just want to attack. Plenty of situations where that has come up. We also have the 4th Mythic Hydra, the control and mono blue matchups, because he's so efficient as a card in the main deck. But he's also you still want to have a lot of mana, so we didn't want 4 of him, we wanted 3 of him, because we want to draw at least 1, maybe 2 every game. So we definitely wanted to access the 4th one for the mono blue and control matchup, so that's why the 4th one's on the board. We have 1 Tajik. I've always thought he should see sideboard play. I'm testing him. The Indestructible seems very relevant against a lot of decks. Even though mono black and blue white and Esper all have enters into Tension Sphere and Bio Black to him, they have to have those specific cards to kill Tajek. So, and not to mention, we can also bestow Boon Satyrs, or we could bestow Boon Satyr. It would also make him a much more efficient threat. He also will attack for 7 more often than not. So he's just a very efficient threat at 4 mana. And he'll stick around through, once again, Supreme Verdict and stuff. We have 4 Lockstone Smiters for the aggressive matchups. Just to replace Boon Satyr. The instant speed's very irrelevant against them. We just want them 4/4. Maybe you should sideboard Unflinching Courages if you have them. I'm for now sideboarding Lockstone Smiter because it still allows me to effectively clock them. Not to mention, the aggressive deck in my meta is green-white. I've seen red-black running around, so Dreadbore and Selesnya Charm is their removal spells, and Unflinching Courages don't stop your creatures from dying to either of those. So you'll get 1 hit in, maybe, and then your guy will die. So I wanted Lockstone Smiters because it sticks around. 2 Witch Stalkers for the mono black and control matchups. It's 3/3 hexproof. I didn't board it in against the deck I'm playing against on this week's first video, even though it's kind of a control deck. simply because he was also playing a mid-range deck. It was a Prime Speaker bug deck, so Witch Stalker really didn't do much. Because even though he was basically a control deck, he was still just playing bigger creatures, so the 3/3 was very irrelevant and got outpaced very quickly. So Witch Stalker's still a solid option. He's also a lot better if you have Unflinching Encourages, because you just bring them both in, Unflinching Encourage him up, and do work. That's also good against Mono Black, so that's why that's in there. We have one Skylasher. Normally, I do not like this against Mono Blue decks, because a lot of the decks that play this, they're like a Devotion deck, or like the Green-Red Aggro deck without a lot of ways to interact with your opponent's board. Tom Ross's, I approve of the Skylashers in there, because he's playing Madcap Skills, Titan Strength, Burn Spells. I don't like this in like the Mono Green deck or Green White, because they don't really have a way to interact with Mono Blue's side of the board. I like it in my deck because I do have Boon Satyrs and removal spells to interact with their creatures. So like, mainly because Rapid Hybridization is their way to get around Skylasher. They Rapid Hybridization, their creature, they make 3/3, they block, they can still block the Mutavaults. Sure, Green White has Celestine Charm, but you have to have the Celestine Charm, and they have to have not an answer to it. So I have one on my sideboard because I just think it's actually good against them in this deck. With 2 Chain of the Rocks and Misery Mortars as our removal. Chain of the Rocks mainly for the monsters, Misery Mortars, Blood Barons. They both come in against aggressive decks because they're just removal. They're just better than Boros Charms. Once again, Boon Satyrs coming out. Just things that are good against the control and mid-range decks of the format that aren't good against the aggressive decks, especially on like the draw. These will just replace those. Then we have 1 Revoke Existence and then 1 Sundering Growth as our ways to answer enchantments and artifacts. I want the 1 Sundering Growth because I do like to have Populate, playing Advent of the Worm, Celestia Charm, the 1 Call of Conclave, but mainly Advent of the Worm, populating that token is going to be very relevant. I can populate my Golem tokens. But Exile can also be really relevant against like gods, so I definitely wanted to have access to both, but I only wanted 2 cards that did that effect in my sideboard, so that's why those are in there. So, if you guys will be willing to stick around for 1 more second, I will make my announcement. Alright guys, this is my announcement. My blog, if you actually read it, which thank you for reading, is up on an actual website now, mtgbrodeals.com. Please go check that out. They're an awesome group over there. If you read the RIP Dr. Jeebus thing, the only thing you need to take away from that is Dr. Jeebus has left the site, and the sincere things, and then the pony things, which you will understand if you read that article. Ignore those, they're not really serious. You guys can't see my hands, ignore those. It's not really serious. They're an awesome crowd over there. I really like them. I know some of them personally through online. I've had several talks with them. Haven't met them in person yet, but I plan to. So that's very exciting. So we're up on the actual website now. I'm still going to be running my blog. I'm going to be posting articles there and on there. So far, the past 2 I've done is my Junk Reanimator deck, which you guys have already seen, but if you want to read an article over it, it's on there. My Modern deck that I played, I did one on that on my blog, and then one on there. I think it was the updated list on the Bro Deals. It might not have been updated, but I'm not sure. If it's updated, it'll be missing the Pillar of Flame. If it's not, it will have the Pillar of Flame. That's how you'll know. I think that's it. Please go check out our Twitter, our blog. You're obviously on our YouTube channel, and mtgbrodeals.com. You guys can see my face. I don't think you guys have ever seen my face before. Some of you know me in real life. Here's my lovely face. Co-host Lucky number 2, his face looks exactly like this, minus a beard. So we're identical twins if you can't tell. With the beard, got it. Yes, I said that. He has a beard. I don't. I shave for work. He doesn't. Please go check out all those things. We hope to see you however long it takes to get our next video posted. Bye.